Welcome to today's Explainer. Listen, if you're a literature student grinding away for that November 11th, 2026 exam, you are in the exact right place. I know, staring down a literal mountain of centuries-old texts and dates can feel completely overwhelming. But today, I'm going to be your energetic study buddy. We're going to take all those dense historical facts from questions 31 through 40 and transform them into highly memorable, easy-to-digest study buckets. By the time we're done here, you're going to have these concepts locked down and ready to deploy.
So here's our agenda to conquer this systematically. 1. English theater history. 2. Shakespeare, characters and quotes. 3. Comedy, farce, and satire. 4. The theater of the absurd. And 5. Modern post-war fiction.
Section 1. English theater history, the stage in the 16th and 17th centuries. Okay, let's dive into this.
Understanding the historical timeline here is absolutely crucial because test makers love to try and trick you on dates. Question 31 asks about when theaters in England were shut down on moral grounds. Now, you will very often see 1622 thrown in as an option. Ignore it. It's a trap. The exact window you need to burn into your memory is 1642 to 1660. Theaters officially closed in 1642, and they didn't reopen until the restoration of Charles II in 1660.
But why? Well, you've got to know the why to really remember the when. This period is known as the Puritan interregnum. The Puritans seized control and decided that theatrical performances were, highly immoral distractions from religious life. So here is your specific exam memory trick for this one. Puritans equal no plays from 1642 to 1660. Whenever you see the phrase closure of theaters on that test, immediately think of that specific 18-year Puritan gap.
Staying in that early theater world, question 32 tests your knowledge of the actual people standing on those stages. If you see names like David Garrick or John Kemble, you're looking at the wrong era. That's the 18th and 19th centuries. But for the Elizabethan period, you only need to know two absolute superstars. First, Richard Burbage. He was Shakespeare's legendary leading actor. He originated so many of those iconic roles. And second, Will Kempe, the extremely famous comic actor. So your memory anchor here is super simple. Burbage plus Kempe equal Elizabethan stage stars.
Moving right along to Section 2, Shakespeare, characters and quotes, digging into the bard. Let's see how this builds as we analyze his complex characters.
I want to test your active recall right now. Listen to this question straight from the exam. Who speaks about honor as a mere scutcheon in Shakespeare? Is it Hamlet? Claudius? Hotspur? Someone else? Think about it for a second.
Got your guess? The answer is Falstaff from Henry IV Part I. And the deeper significance here is actually really fascinating. A scutcheon is literally just a coat of arms used in funerals. In this speech, Falstaff is fundamentally ridiculing the romanticized concept of deadly heroism. While characters like Hotspur value honor so intensely they'll literally die for it, Falstaff represents practical, comic realism. He's basically pointing out that honor can't set a leg or heal a wound. It's totally useless to the dead.
And this brings us to a perfect study shortcut. When you sit down on test day and see question 34 asking about honor in Shakespeare, just pull up this exact mnemonic in your mind. Falstaff laughs at honor. It's practical, it's cynical, and it's your guaranteed point on the test. Now, I want you to contrast Falstaff's cynical comedy with this famous line, "What a piece of work is man." This is question 35, and it's spoken by Hamlet. This is arguably one of the most highly quoted Renaissance humanist passages in existence. It brilliantly illustrates a duality you absolutely need to remember for the exam. Hamlet beautifully balances this high praise for human achievement, our reason, our incredible faculties, with a deep, profound disillusionment. Because despite all our greatness, to him, we are ultimately just a quintessence of dust. Wrapping up our Shakespeare bucket, we hit question 40. This one looks at a passage praising a woman's perfect inner and outer beauty. It's not from Webster, and it's not from Marlowe. It is Ferdinand speaking about Miranda in The Tempest. Miranda is the ultimate symbol of innocence and ideal beauty in that entire play. So your memory trick here is a straight line. Ferdinand points to Miranda, which equals perfect beauty. Lock that in. All right, Section 3. Comedy, farce, and satire. Laughing at society. Let's step into how writers have historically mocked societal norms.
Now, what's really interesting here is how exam boards use literary definitions to trip you up, specifically with farce and burlesque.
This breaks down an assertion reasoning question. Question 37. The exam states that farce is associated with burlesque, but must be distinguished from it. A lot of students get super confused here. Are they the same thing? No. They are closely related comic forms because they both use exaggeration, but they must remain strictly distinguished as separate, distinct genres. Therefore, both statements are correct, but the reason doesn't explain the assertion.
I really want to hammer home this vital study tip. Literary genres constantly trick test takers because our brains naturally want to lump similar things together. In literature exams, nuance is literally everything. So, whenever you see farce and burlesque, remember this mental anchor. Related does not equal same.
Let's keep the energy high. Question 38 asks a very specific trivia question. The fall of the rupee is referred to in which Oscar Wilde play? Think about it. Where did Wilde inject some totally unexpected, dry economic humor into his work?
It's from The Importance of Being Earnest. This play is Wilde's absolute masterclass in witty epigrams and sharp social commentary. He brilliantly uses something as incredibly dry as currency devaluation to highlight the absurd, backward priorities of Victorian high society.
To lock in question 38, just use this simple mental image. Picture the characters in their fancy high society drawing rooms having a totally absurd, witty chat about money. Your anchor is, Ernest talks economics humorously.
Section 4. The Theatre of the Absurd. Waiting and Existential Dread. From the witty drawing rooms of Victorian England, let's step into a much bleaker landscape.
Nothing happens, nobody comes, nobody goes, it's awful. Wow, this line, which is the focus of question 39, perfectly captures the repetitive existential dread of Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. The entire play revolves around waiting for a resolution that literally never arrives, trapping the characters in this endless cycle of existential uncertainty.
Because this is one of the most frequently asked Beckett quotes across all literature exams everywhere, you absolutely must know it. Your high-yield exam equation is straightforward here. Nothing happens equals waiting for Godot. It is the defining thesis of the whole play.
Staying with Godot for question 36, we look at another famous line. Astride of the grave and a difficult birth. Now, test makers will try to trick you into guessing Estragon, Vladimir, or even Lucky. But this bleak reflection on human life as a fleeting, painful moment between birth and death belongs to Pazzo in Act 2. Cement this trick in your mind right now. Pazzo equals the grave and birth speech.
Finally, Section 5, Modern Post-War Fiction, Mid-Century Literature. Let's dive enthusiastically into our final study bucket.
We're fast-forwarding to modern post-war European literature, specifically focusing on the tricky details of mid-century collections. Question 33 asks you to identify which novel is not a part of Günter Grass's Danzig trilogy. Grass, who won the Nobel Prize in 1999, wrote 3 definitive works in this set. You need to memorize them: The Tin Drum from 1959, Cat and Mouse from 1961, and Dog Years from 1963. The trap answer they'll throw at you on the exam is The Flounder. The Flounder is a fantastic novel, but it is entirely separate from the trilogy. So your final memory trick to easily spot the trap is tin, drum, plus cat, plus dog. If it's a fish, like a flounder, throw it out.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. Right now, I want you to pause and take a screenshot of this master revision table. This is your ultimate cheat sheet for questions 31 through 40 for your November 11th prep. We've mapped out everything from the Puritan theater closures to Shakespearean pragmatism, all the way to Beckett's absurdism. As you review these notes, I want to leave you with a slightly provocative thought. If literature truly mirrors human anxiety, from Hamlet's humanist crisis to the existential waiting in Godot, what will the literature written about our own modern era look like on these very exams a century from now? Keep studying, keep asking those big questions, and you are absolutely going to crush this exam.
Welcome to the world of professional video mixing.